In the UK, a strong credit score can open doors to various financial products, rental agreements, and competitive interest rates on loans. While taking out loans and credit cards are traditional ways to build your credit score, it is possible to establish a solid credit score without them. So with that said, in this video, I would explain what is a credit score, how credit score works, the factors influencing credit scores, why having a credit score here in the UK matters, and lastly, I would outline practical steps for immigrants living here in the UK to build their credit scores without taking out loans or credit cards. Now, first things first, what is a credit score? So a credit score is a numeric representation of your credit worthiness, reflecting your ability to manage debt and repay borrowed money. Now, in the UK, credit scores are used by lenders, landlords, utility companies, and even sometimes employers to assess the risk associated with lending you money or offering you credit or entering into a financial agreement with you. Now, let's talk about how credit score works. Now, credit scores typically range from 0 to 999, with the highest score indicating better credit worthiness. Now, the specific range of a credit score can vary depending on the country and the credit scoring model used. Now, the major credit reference agents in the UK include Expedian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, each of these credit reference agencies actually use a slightly different scoring models. I will leave how they do their credit rating scores on the screen for you guys to see what I'm talking about. Moving on, let's talk about factors that can influence your credit scores here in the UK. The first is payment history. Now, payment history is like the most significant factor that can actually influence your credit score here in the UK because it tracks whether you have paid your past credit accounts on time and in full. Likewise, when it comes to your payment history, late payments, default, or bankruptcy can significantly lower your credit score. So it's very important that you have a stellar payment history. Now, the second thing that can influence your credit score, either make it high or make it low, is your credit utilization if you have a line of credit. Basically, credit utilization refers to the amount of credit you use compared to the total available credit. Now, keeping your credit utilization low can positively impact your credit score, and having a high credit utilization can negatively impact your credit score. So what am I talking about? So for example, you have a credit card that is worth £1,000. So the credit limit on that card is £1,000. You have £1,000 in credit to spend. Now you want to make sure that you don't spend more than £300 from that card. So that's like keeping your credit utilization low. Ideally, you want to keep it below 30%. The third thing that can influence your credit score is your length of credit history. So the longer your credit history, the better. It just goes to show how you have successfully managed credit over time. Another factor that can influence your credit score here in the UK is credit mix. So what I mean by credit mix is having various credit types such as credit cards, loans, and a mortgage can either improve your credit score as it demonstrates your ability to manage different types of credit effectively. Likewise, it can also damage your credit score if you take them back to back, like if you take them intervally and if you have not been managing this line of credits well. So with that said, that brings us nicely to my last point on factors that can influence your credit score here in the UK, which is making a new credit inquiry. Now, applying for several new credit accounts within a short period of time can actually impact your credit score negatively, as it may suggest that you are in financial distress or you are a high-risk borrower. Because why are you taking out different line of credits back to back? When you want to take a loan here in the UK or you want to take any form of credit here in the UK, make sure you space it out. For instance, if you take out a loan today, you want to wait a couple of months or even a year before you take out another loan. Or if you applied for a credit card today, you want to wait for a couple of months or even years before you take out another credit card. Now let me talk about why a credit score matters here in the UK. Now the first reason why credit score matters is that when it comes to loan and credit application, a high credit score increases the likelihood of being approved for loans or credit cards, and it may help you secure a low interest rate on those loans or on your credit card. Now, the second reason why having a credit score matters here in the UK is that landlords will often check credit scores to evaluate the likelihood that a tenant would pay on time. Now, here in the UK, you most likely will not know your landlord personally. You're meeting your landlord for the first time, or if it's a corporate landlord, they really don't know you. They don't know if you pay rent or if you will not pay rent. So the best way for them to evaluate your ability to pay your bills on time or evaluate the fact that you will pay rent on time is through your credit history. Like your credit score and history will let them know that, okay, yeah, this person will be able to pay rent, or this person lacks the ability of paying their bills on time, and this person will default on their rent. So that's why having a credit score is important. Like my husband and I have been in a situation where we actually lost a property we wanted to rent because the landlord felt we would not pay rent, because at that time we did not have a credit score here in the UK. So I've experienced this firsthand, where a landlord refused to let their house to me because they believe I will not pay rent. But thank God, years down the line, we are now landlords of our own. The third reason why having a credit score is important here in the UK is that some utility companies check your credit score before allowing you to even set up an account with them, particularly for utility service contracts that involves payments over time. Now, the last but not the least reason why having a credit score here is important has to do with employment. So in some industries, particularly in finance, employers might check your credit score as part of their hiring process to gauge an applicant's financial responsibility, basically, to have a sense of how responsible are you with money. Now let's move on to the juicy part of this video, why most of you clicked on this video to watch it, which is how to build your credit score here in the UK as a migrant without having a credit card or without taking out a loan. Now, the first thing you want to do when you want to start building your credit score as a migrant here in the UK is to regularly check your credit reports. Now, don't worry, checking your credit reports will not damage your credit score, because yes, there are some myths that would say if you check your credit report regularly, your score would reduce. No, checking your score regularly is like a soft check, and soft check does not impact your credit report. Hard check is what impacts your credit report. So hard check, like when you want to take out a mortgage, or you want to take out a credit card, or you want to take out a loan, or you want to open certain bank accounts here in the UK, they will do a hard check on you to get a sense of your financial history and to see how responsible you are with money, or your behavioral patterns with money before they would borrow the money or give you a credit card or allow you open some certain bank accounts here in the UK. But you checking your credit report regularly is a soft check. So basically, you want to actually check your credit report regularly just to ensure that all the information about you are accurate and current. Likewise, checking your credit score regularly would also help you spot errors or fraudulent activities that could harm your credit score. You can check your credit reports for free in the UK through the websites of Expedian, Equifax, or TransUnion, because that's the three major credit reference agencies here in the UK, and you can actually check your credit report on each of those platforms for free. Now, if you don't want to go through the hassle of checking your credit report or your credit scores on those three platforms, like those three major credit reference agencies platforms here in the UK, you can sign up for paid credit report services like Check My File to check your credit report from all three major credit reference agencies here in the UK. To have a good overview of your report regularly and dispute any inaccuracies promptly. Now, Check My File would usually have like 1 month free trial, so you can actually sign up to the platform for 1 month and use it for free, and make sure you cancel your subscription if you don't want to keep paying for it. But it's always good to have an idea of what your credit score is, or what your credit report is, or what your credit history is on those 3 major platforms, because sometimes some of your financial information might be complete on, let's say, TransUnion, and then some is missing from Expedient. I don't know if you get. So you have to check all 3 to ensure that none of your information is missing on all 3 platforms, so that when it comes to taking out a mortgage in particular and the bank should do a credit check on you, your credit check will come out clean, and so that you will not have any worries when it comes to your credit history or report, because you are sure that all your information are correct on those 3 platforms and all your financial history are reflecting correctly on those 3 platforms. So you're not worried that, oh, this is not showing here, that is showing here. Do you get what I mean? Just to make sure that everything is coherent with one another. And it's always good to check your credit history or report on these platforms, because they actually give you hints on how to boost your credit score tailored to your financial circumstances. So for example, let's say you've not registered on the Electoral Roll. They will actually tell you to register on the Electoral Roll and show you how it would boost or increase your credit score. Or let's say some of your bills are not showing, they will actually tell you that, okay, this is the oldest bill you have. Do you have any other direct debit or any other recurring payment that you want to put on a direct debit or standing order, so it can reflect on your credit report and stuff like that. So all these platforms will actually give you personalized hints on how to build your credit score. So it's always good to check your credit score regularly on these platforms. Now, the second thing you want to do when it comes to building your credit score is to get on the Electoral Roll here in the UK. You see, registering on the Electoral Roll is one of the easiest and most efficient way to start building your credit score here in the UK. Even if you're not eligible to vote here in the UK, you can still register as a foreign national to vote. Like, you can still register to be on the Electoral Roll. Now, you want to be on the Electoral Roll here in the UK because credit reference agencies uses the information on the Electoral Roll to verify your identity and address, which can positively impact your credit score. Now, getting on the Electoral Roll here in the UK is easy and is free. All you need to do is to visit the UK government website and complete the online registration form. Now, when you move houses and you change your residential address, even if you've already registered on the Electoral Roll before, always ensure that you update your details on the Electoral Roll so that you have an accurate and up-to-date record. So when we're living in Manchester, we were actually on the Electoral Roll and we registered to vote in Manchester. When we bought our house and moved to the Midlands, we still register to vote where we are, and we still updated our information on the Electoral Roll because obviously we've moved houses and our address have changed. Now, the third thing you want to do when it comes to building your credit score is to open a UK bank account if you do not have one. Now, having a UK bank account is crucial for managing your finances in general and to also help you build a credit history. Now, when it comes to opening a bank account here in the UK as a foreigner, make sure that over time you have managed your bank account well, because it contributes to your credit worthiness, especially if you regularly deposit money, pay your bills, and avoid overdrafts. So what you want to do if you do not have a UK bank account here in the UK is to choose a bank account that suits your needs and apply for a basic or standard current account. Now, if you want to know how to open a bank account here in the UK, I do have a video on that. I will link you to this video for those who want to learn how to open a UK bank account. Now, when it comes to opening a bank account here in the UK and building your credit score, there's always this argument between should you open a high street traditional bank account or should you open an online digital bank account. Now, I would say to be on the safe side, have both. I know that when you first move to the UK, it might be challenging to open a high street traditional bank account like Barclays, NatWest, or Santander. It's easier to open a bank account with Monzo and Revolut because the application process is more straightforward. I would say to be on the safer side, open both. Open both a traditional bank account and an online only bank account. There's no harm in having both of them. Now, the third thing you want to do when it comes to building your credit score is actually to set up direct debit for recurring bills. Now, one thing you should know if you're living here in the UK is that whether or not you're trying to build your credit score, paying your bills on time and in full is key, because you don't want the loan collectors coming at your door, and you don't want your service provider or your utility service provider sending you angry messages. But anyway, when it comes to building a credit score, make sure you actually set up a direct debit for recurring expenses such as utility bills, council tax, and maybe phone contracts if you have any, or your broadband payments. And always ensure that you have sufficient money in your bank account where you set up your direct debit, so that your direct debit will not decline. You see, doing this will actually help you demonstrate financial responsibility, which will in turn boost your credit score. Now, in the UK, Credit Reference Agency would actually view timely payments as a sign that they can trust you when it comes to paying your bills and paying your credit on time, which would positively influence your credit score. Now, you want to ensure that you have enough funds in your account each month just to cover your direct debit, like I said earlier, and just monitor your account regularly just so that you avoid missed payments. Now, if you are watching just this point, it can only mean one thing. It means you find this video valuable. So please give this video a like and share it with someone who you believe will also find the video valuable. Now, the fourth thing you want to do when it comes to building your credit score here in the UK is to use your rent payments to actually build your credit score. Now, rent is often one of the largest monthly financial responsibility most immigrants will have here in the UK. So in the UK, you can actually use your rent payments, like your monthly rent payment, to build your credit score through services like Credit Ladder or Canopy, which reports your rents to credit reference agencies here in the UK. You know, this can significantly improve your credit history over time. Now, remember that earlier on in the video, I told you guys that there was a point in time when we wanted to rent a house here in the UK, a landlord would not rent his house to us because we didn't have like a credit history then. So after that ordeal, we actually found an apartment we liked in Manchester, which was like a luxurious apartment. Like, I even did a house tour of that apartment. I'll link it to this video for those of you who want to see the apartment. So our landlord for that apartment was a corporate landlord. Like, it was a company that owned those buildings. And what they did then was to sign us on to Canopy because we didn't have like a credit score, so that our monthly rent payments will actually help us build a credit score. Now, for that our luxurious apartment, right, the company, like the company landlord, don't collect deposits. They don't collect deposit before they rent a house to you. They only collect deposit if you have a terrible credit history or you don't have any credit history at all. They will collect deposit, and then they will sign you on to Canopy so that you can be building your credit history with your rent payments. Like, that's what they did for my husband and I, and it actually helped us build our credit score when we were living in that luxurious apartment. This is why in the UK I like corporates, or like I say company landlords, because they just make your life easy and they are more inclusive when it comes to renting houses and apartments out to individuals, especially foreign nationals that do not have like credit history. Now, that landlord that refused to let his house to us, his actions were justified, because how would he know that we will pay rent? You know, he's a one-man band. But corporate landlords, if you don't pay rent, they know how to get you, you know. So that is why I don't even blame that individual landlord guy. So from personal experience, I can tell you for a fact that you can use your rent payments to build your credit score by signing up with a rent reporting services that reports to major credit agencies like Equifax or Expedian. Likewise, if you want to use this method to build your credit score here in the UK, you want to ensure that your rents are always paid in full and on time each month. It's very important, because if you don't pay your rent in full and on time, the way they used to report to all these credit reference agencies that you are paying your rent in full and on time, if you default, they will also report to that credit reference agency that you defaulted on your rent and you did not pay your rent in full and on time. So yeah, you want to keep this in mind if you want to use these methods. Now, the fifth way to build your credit score here in the UK is actually to maintain a stable address history. Now, I know for a fact that maintaining a stable address history as a foreign national who just moved to the UK can be difficult, because when you move to the UK, you are most likely going to move severally for the first few years before you are stable. In the last 4 years that I've lived in the UK, I've lived in I've lived in 4 different addresses. But as much as possible, if you can avoid moving around, try to have a stable address history, because it's an essential aspect of building your credit profile. You know, frequent address changes can make you appear less stable to lenders, which can negatively impact your credit score. You know, try to stay at one address for as long as possible and update your details with your banks, utility companies, and other financial institutions whenever you make a move. Now, just always ensure that if you move, like if you change houses, notify all relevant institutions immediately about your move. Now, the 6th way to build your credit score is to manage your financial associations. So if you share financial products or accounts with another person, their credit behavior can actually affect your credit score. So for instance, sharing a joint account with a partner with a poor credit history could actually impact your credit score negatively. Therefore, it is essential to carefully consider who you link your finances with and manage those relationships responsibly, and choose your partner wisely when it comes to finances. Now, to manage your financial association, only open joint accounts with individuals who have a good financial habit. Like, they didn't tell you, but you saw it through their credit score and through their credit report to get it. Also, regularly review your credit report to check for any incorrect financial association. So for instance, let's say you were in collabo with someone financially, but now you guys are no more in collabo financially. It's always good to like end that relationship officially. So if you have like a joint account with someone here in the UK and your financial relationship have come to an end, it's better you guys close that account, you know, make it official that this financial relationship have come to an end. If you guys took like a financial product together, so let's say you took out a mortgage with someone and maybe you've sold your share of that property back to the person, or you guys have sold the house, make it official. Close the mortgage properly, like close any financial association you have with anyone that have come to an end properly. Moving on, tip number 7 is to avoid financial stress indicators. So for example, if you already have a credit card, consistently keep the balance of your credit card low, just to demonstrate to lenders that you are not financially stretched or overextended. I don't know if you get. So aim to use less than 30% of your available credit and pay it off in full monthly, just to avoid, you know, financial indicators that would indicate, oh, this person is stressed financially, or this person has overextended themselves financially. Also, demonstrating steady and predictable financial behavior over time is key, because lenders are more likely to trust borrowers who show consistency in how they handle their financial commitment. So do not take back-to-back loans within a short period of time, because that can be a financial stress indicator. And also pay your bills on time and in full consistently. Not that in the last 2 months you have paid your bills in full but you don't pay on time. 3 months ago you paid your bills halfway and you paid it on time, and you know you're not consistent with how you pay your bills and stuff like that. You want to make sure you avoid that, because all of that kind of behavior are like financial stress indicators. So pay your bills on time and in full in a consistent manner. Tip number 8 is to keep your account in good standing. Now, maintaining a positive balance and avoiding overdrafts can help you build your credit score. So what I mean by maintaining a positive balance is that you don't want the balance in your account to always be in negative and then you go to overdraft all the time. Now, you want to avoid this because banks would actually report your account activities to the reference credit agencies here in the UK, and a well-managed account is like a positive signal when it comes to building your credit score here in the UK. So ensure that no matter what happens, you keep your account in good standing. You want to do this by keeping track of your spending and staying within your budget. spend the money you have, like the positive balance in your account. That's what you should be spending. Don't be spending the negative balance in your account because you have an overdraft. So I guess for this point, the emphasis is that avoiding going into overdraft, especially when it is an unauthorized overdraft. Now, the ninth way to build your credit score here in the UK is actually to take smaller forms of credit. Now, hear me out. I know this video is about building your credit score without taking out a loan or taking out a credit. Now, if you are not confident in your ability to make regular payments when it comes to taking out a loan or having a credit card, or you don't want to take out a line of credit, like you don't want to take out a loan, or you don't even want to take out a credit card, consider signing up for smaller forms of credit like a phone contract. Now, a phone contract is one of the more straightforward financial agreements you can make in the UK, and regular payments can positively impact your credit score. Now, hear me out. You do not have to buy a phone. Like, you don't need to buy a phone when it comes to this phone contract I'm talking about. You can do a SIM-only deal contract. Now, the SIM-only deal contract do not include buying a new phone and usually consists of 1 month rolling contract or a 12-month contract. So basically, for this SIM-only contract I'm talking about, you will just make a deal with your phone provider, like your network service provider, where every month you can pay like £10 and then they'll give you unlimited call, unlimited text messages, and maybe like 10 gig of data, and you'll be paying £10 every month. So it's like a phone contract too. That's what I have, and it actually helps me build my credit score, and it also helped my husband build his own credit score. And there was a time he defaulted on paying this monthly SIM only contract, and it affected his credit score. Like, his credit score went down. So this would always reflect in your credit score and can help you build your credit score. Using SIM only contract can be a good option if you are not ready to have a new phone, or you want to keep the phone you have but you want to do a phone contract. So that's what I'm talking about for this point. You don't need to buy a new phone. Or normally you would usually budget to buy credit for your phone, so this can be a great option where you can just have like a bundle, like a monthly bundle you pay for every month, where you get unlimited call, unlimited text messages, and a certain amount of internet data that you can use on your phone. So basically what you want to do is just choose a mobile contract within your budget and set up a direct debit to ensure that you make the payment on time and in full. Make sure you don't miss a payment. If you miss a payment, it would affect your credit score, because my husband fell into this trap and his credit score actually went low because of this. Until now, it's still on his credit report. I think it will take 18 months for that to go away, or is it 6 years? I can't remember. It takes some time for that to go away from his credit. Now, my tip number 10 is to be consistent with your details. You see, being consistent with your details, such as maintaining the same personal information and a stable address history, is crucial for building your credit score here in the UK. If you write your name in a particular order, always ensure you write your name in that particular order all the time, especially when it comes to financial activities or financial forms. It will just ensure that credit reference agencies can accurately track your credit history, reducing the risk of errors, and consistently paying your bills on time, managing credit responsibly, and avoiding frequent credit applications demonstrate reliability to lenders. And stability in your financial behavior and like consistency in your information. Like, if there's consistency in your financial behavior and information, it will help you. You see, stable and consistent financial behavior, including having a low credit utilization and a long-term account management, helps create a trustworthy credit profile, ultimately leading to a stronger credit score. So you just want to be consistent in your financial behavior, in your information, in your address, the way you write your name. Just try to do things consistently. You know, there's always swindlers that don't do things consistently. Now, the last but not the least tip I will give you when it comes to building your credit score without a credit here in the UK is to pay your bills on time and in full. I've mentioned this so many times in this video. Now, always remember to pay your bills on time and in full. Like I would always say, in the UK, ignorance is not bliss. It's not bliss when you say, oh, I don't know, I have these bills to pay, and then you forget and you miss that payment. That is not bliss. Like, ignorance is not bliss in this UK. You see, here in the UK, late payments can negatively impact your credit score more than you might realize. Now, a payment that is just a few days late may not even be reported to the credit reference agencies here in the UK. However, 30 days or more overdue payments are likely to be reported and can significantly damage your credit score. Like I made mention of how my husband missed his, is it £8 mobile contract payment to EE, and it affected his credit score. But thank God we've actually taken out our mortgage before that happens. Anyway, in conclusion, building a credit score here in the UK as an immigrant without applying for a loan or credit card is entirely possible by following the strategies I've mentioned in this video. You can steadily build a strong credit profile by getting on the Electoral Roll, maintaining a stable bank account, paying your bills on time and in full, and using your monthly rent payments to your advantage. Also, ensure that you monitor your credit report regularly so that there will not be any discrepancies or errors in your credit report, and manage your financial associations wisely just to ensure that your credit score reflects your efforts accurately. Now, one thing I want you to always have at the back of your mind is that building a solid credit score takes time, and you can always establish a solid credit history here in the UK with time and with patience and with consistent financial management. Now, if you want to know how to boost your credit score here in the UK using a credit card or loan, watch the video on your screen right now.